Well, welcome back. Well, the chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, Tim Scott, fighting federal debanking by introducing the FIRM Act today. It eliminates the ability for regulators to use so-called reputational risk as a component of supervision. Scott also urging Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to quickly fill a new supervisor for the bank regulations, because if not, the heavy rules on capital will stay as is. This after my exclusive reporting this week. The Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell is lobbying the White House and Congress to try to not fill the role so that he can absorb the Federal Reserve Vice Chairman role and the banking supervision for himself. Joining me now is South Carolina Senator and Chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, Tim Scott. Mr. Chairman, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria. It's always good to be back with you.
First, let's talk about debanking. I was stunned when I spoke with Melania Trump, the First Lady, before the election, and she told me that as soon as she left the White House the last time around, banks decided that they weren't going to bank her anymore.
Well, Maria, it's like the modern-day redlining. They are literally choosing conservatives to carve out of our economic system. I can't believe how devastating the Biden administration regulators use reputational risk has been to conservatives. Melania Trump, of all people, for God's sake, the First Lady of our country deserves to have access to the financial system of our country. But Maria, it doesn't stop with simply Melania. It goes on to sectors like cryptocurrency, where the Biden administration's regulators decided that they were going to have a chilling effect on the entire cryptocurrency world, which means that they're pushing innovation out of our country and into other countries' hands. Let's bring that innovation back to America by allowing them to participate in our banking system. Eliminating reputational risk is a way we allow our banks to make decisions on credit worthiness, not on fear of America's regulators. It's wrong.
Tell me about
Definitely
that reputational risk, Senator. How do they do that? Explain reputational risk and how they use it.
Sure. Basically, what a regulator is able to do with reputational risk is to say that the institution may lose market cap because they're banking industries that may cause reputation, loss of their positive reputation in the marketplace. It's just, as we say in South Carolina, hogwash. It's merely a weaponization of their rules. It's like having a playbook and you flip through the page and you use reputational risk over and over again to suggest that by having Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citi, bank crypto assets, or bank the First Lady of the United States, that bank may lose part of their market because people don't want them banking conservatives. It sounds like President Biden found a way to weaponize the regulators to punish political opponents and to punish industries they didn't like.
Well, I mean, that's a great point, because we've seen that over and over again from Joe Biden and the Biden and the Clinton and Obama administrations, whereas, you know, you have a group of people who are treated differently than others, and when you start peeling back the onion, you realize that it was the administration who was telling them what to do. That happened with social media. They told all the social media companies to censor Americans during COVID because they didn't want any questions about the vaccines. They did it now. We're learning from banking. This is so wrong. I know that you're talking about it and trying to do something about it, but, you know, you've got to get politics out of government. Is it impossible?
It's hard to do with Biden administration. The good news is a new day in America. With President Trump, it makes it easier for us to get that accomplished. And Maria, you just said something so important. Remember, Choke Point 1.0, another debanking objective under the Biden administration, said to oil and gas companies, we are going to punish you because we want our environment clean. And one of the ways they wanted to punish oil and gas was by getting them out of our banking system. Same thing with firearm manufacturers. They wanted to purge the sale of firearms in our country. How do they want to accomplish that? By making sure they had no access to credit in America. It is another way of destroying good companies, good sectors, because they're not in line with the crazy left agenda of the liberals.
It's actually reminds me of what we were talking about earlier. I had the acting chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission on, and he said the same thing, that the Biden administration was governing by investigation. Send this one a Wells notice.
Absolutely.
Send that one a Wells notice. And that's how they govern, putting a freeze on everything. But Elon Musk meeting with Republican lawmakers yesterday to talk about the best ways to cut waste and abuse. He wants to cut up to $1 trillion in more government waste. The president has spoken about this. Of course, he spoke first to Senate Republicans. He gave, what? Did he give you his phone number with a promise to improve communication?
He absolutely gave us his phone number. I thought to myself, the richest man in the world has just given all of us his cell phone. And as he said, use it to make America great again. I love the fact that we have the brightest minds on the planet working together under the leadership of President Donald J. Trump to return to the American people more of their money so they control more of their decisions and they experience the American dream. It is why America will be the greatest country for the next generation.
Senator, I want to get your take on the Federal Reserve. It does not appear that the Fed is in step with Doge. The chairman, Jay Powell, sent out an email the other day, right? I know. And the email, we have the picture of the email. The email said, look, you may have gotten an email from the Office of Personnel Management. Ignore it. It doesn't apply to the Fed. And I'm being told by my sources in Congress as well as in business and the White House that he's lobbying to the White House to say, don't fill the vice chairman's role. Michael Barr exited the role of vice chairman and bank supervisor, of course, last week. This is a presidential appointment, but Jay Powell is trying to convince everybody not to, fill this role so that the heavy regulations around the bank's capital stay in place. How do you see it?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. It's terrible, Maria. Let me just say to everybody in the White House listening to your amazing show, A, good job listening to Maria. She's fantastic. And B, fill the vice chair role of supervision at the Fed. Why? Every time you park more capital on the sidelines, you slow the growth of our economy. That means fewer dollars for mortgages, fewer dollars to start businesses. It is not in America's best interest to let Jay Powell continue having dual roles. He's the person that allowed Michael Barr to come up with Basel III and to increase the capital on the sidelines so significantly that it stymies growth in our economy. It is one of the ways to slow the blue-collar comeback led by Donald J. Trump, our president. We need a vice chair of supervision that President Trump has complete confidence in to right-size the regulatory environment to allow American prosperity and the golden age of American opportunity to live today.
Yeah, wow. What optimism and inspiration we heard the other night from President Trump. I'm getting chills with you awesome. Talking about it. How was it in the room?
It was electrifying.
Yeah.
We saw very clear that the Republican Party is a party of exuberance, and the Democrat Party, they must be the party of zombies because they couldn't stand for a 12-year-old recovering from brain cancer. They wouldn't stand for a Border Patrol agent saving lives. They wouldn't stand for a 95-year-old mother.
Wow.
President Trump promised to bring the boy home, and her son was with her.
Senator, we got to jump.
Unbelievable enthusiasm.
It really,
God bless you.
We got to jump real quick, though. Are you going to be able to get this reconciliation package through? Are you going to do the one bill or two tracks?
We're going to take care of America's border and the military with reconciliation. One or two bills, doesn't matter. Getting it done does matter. President Trump will deliver.
All right, Senator. Great to see you this morning. Thanks so much.